Sai, you've gone too far this time.
Please, Commander, I'm so sorry. It's not my fault. The dodo moved in front of me.
No excuse. You know better than anyone the punishment for bringing harm to a Dodogama. You shall be executed at high noon.
Please, I've served the commission well. Surely there's something I can do in order to make up for this one mistake.
Very well. Our information on Shara Ishvalda is rather lacking, and you are one of the few hunters capable of handling such a daunting task. Give us a report on the old Everworm, and your transgression shall be forgiven. Is it too late to go back to the execution? Yes. Are you done?
Do I still have to do the report?
Yes.
Crap.
There are so many.
Shara Ishvalda, an elder dragon we only discovered to even exist recently. One would only be aware of its presence by catching the whispers of its song on the breeze. But when you hear that song, know the very earth you walk upon is likely in imminent danger.
Singing?
This handwriting.
Upon further investigation, we realized this song had a connection to monsters behaving unusually, and the appearances of monsters formerly unseen in the New World appearing in different locales, such as the Tigrex in the Rotten Vale, as well as never-before-seen subspecies of other prominent New World monsters, such as the Viper Tobi Kadachi.
This old Everworm, from what we know, has the power to obliterate ecosystems.
Through careful investigation, we learned that something had been following a trail of bioenergy, starting off in the Everstream, the birthplace and once thought to be final resting place of Xenojiva, an elder dragon, literally born from the energy of dying elder dragons. It then proceeded to follow a trail throughout the New World, coming to places that were hotspots of elder dragon activity, the godly beasts being an overwhelming source of this energy. It appeared that this new entity was attempting to either gain or disrupt any large sources of bioenergy in order to rid itself of possible threats. The note from the frozen ship spoke of this creature, granting it the title of the Old Everworm, which many believed to be capable of tearing the world asunder.
Their job is gonna be to finish it. Honestly,
after following this beast's trail of destruction, we encountered Aroner Nergigante. And then we encountered the Destroyer of Mountains, the old Everworm itself, Shara Ishvalda. As previously stated, Shara Ishvalda is known as the Old Everworm, but such a name doesn't really fit the beast's classification. A worm classifies as a serpentine creature with no limbs what to speak of, which clearly does not define Shara Ishvalda, who has 4 legs and 2 wings. But, back on track, Shara Ishvalda is kind of an enigma. If Dodo Gama is still a mystery after being discovered 3 years ago, then surely an Elder Dragon, which we cannot capture for research purposes, that was discovered less than 2 full years ago, is even more of a conundrum. As such, we know very little about it. What we can say for certain, it does not appear to simply wish to destroy the world like some other Elder Dragons. It does not destroy mountains and cause enormous landslides and avalanches simply for the sake of destroying all life around him. He is merely an expert on social distancing and wishes to keep anything else that is alive a minimum of 6 feet away from him. Was that? Oh wait, did I say 6 feet? I'm sorry, I meant 6 miles. And thus, it destroys the land around it for a few miles to drive away anything that breathes.
What the heck is that?
Unfortunately, hunters in the guild really prefer it when the Elder Dragons don't mess with our home and screw with the very laws of nature and physics, so we had to confront the beast with a very important message.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
And it took exception to that. So, if it wasn't obvious by exactly how much this thing towers over me, this guy is massive. Dodo Gama is thick, but this guy is dummy thick, and easily knocks Best Boy down to silver in terms of chunkiness, which is more than one reason to hate him. Anyway, he uses this gargantuan bulk to dominate anything that gets too close to it. Although it is still somewhat calm and placid in this state. It's really only trying to drive away any attackers, not destroy them. Because smashing and plowing through things with giant stone fists and jumping into the air to send its massive body crashing down on its enemies like a meteor is totally non-lethal. Are you kidding me? Anyone can survive that. Now, you may be wondering how exactly this creature has been bringing down mountains and causing massive landslides. Well, at first we believed the creature was simply an earthbender capable of controlling the properties of the very ground and rock itself. A theory that seemed to hold weight, as it could do this. But no. As it turns out, this creature is a master of vibrations. The song on the breeze that seemed to terrify the ecosystem and cause species never before seen in the new world to invade new lands turned out to be nothing more than the simple vibrations of the creature's wings, capable of causing rocks and even the earth around it to be reduced to grains of sand. This allows it to shape the land around itself as it sees fit, which usually involves sinking into the ground it has reduced to a small pond of sand, attacking with its wings, which are similar to massive four-fingered hands. However, this also has unforeseen consequences, as the vibrations travel through the ground and breaks the land into rocks and rocks into sand. Whatever was on top of that land became greatly destabilized. The weight of huge mountains and large land masses cannot be supported by mere sand, and thus mountains crumbling and massive landslides occurred. You may be wondering why this creature does what it does. Why would it need to reshape the earth and break down rocks just to get other creatures away from it?
They're nearly broken.
Surely
Keep it up.
such a hulking beast has nothing to fear, right? Well, you would be correct in thinking that. But the only problem is that hulking form, well, it is not the beast's true form.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Yes, that is correct, my friends. What you see before you is little more than a rocky shell. The skin of this mighty monster secretes a sticky substance, similar to glue, but it is powerful and long-lasting enough to hold sand and rocks, never letting them detach from the body unless an opponent willing to face the creature can hit its vulnerable head and neck hard enough to break and pull away its rocky armor, or when truly threatened and aware that its armor is slowing it down and limiting its full potential, the monster sheds its carapace to do battle unhampered by the weight of its shell and without any limitations, able to show the full potential of a true Shara Ishvalda. Now free of its heavy, rocky outer layer, the beast is far lighter and more maneuverable. It is more vulnerable without its shell of rock, but it is aware of this and now seeks to absolutely destroy the ones who forced it to shed its shell and become vulnerable. That being said, it is still quite sturdy even without its rocky armor. Its new life and athletic body apparently made from an incredibly strong wood, possibly even petrified wood, which is basically just another kind of rock, so the rock armor becomes a little redundant at that point, but there's nothing wrong with doubling up. Another reason it may have done this was to make itself bigger, bulkier and like more of a challenge. Although I'd say it was already big enough. I mean, who's crazy enough to go after... Oh.
It's alive?
No longer hampered by the weight of the rocks, the creature is now able to viciously attack with almost any part of its body, employing clawing swipes with its front legs, or surprisingly devastating bites from its mouth filled with equally surprising, near-human-like teeth. And somehow, it is able to pinpoint exactly where you are, even with its eyes closed. But you'll soon be wishing its eyes never open, as once those burning golden spheres cast their gaze upon you, it will almost feel like they're trying to steal your very soul. But no matter what form it takes, one constant remains. The fact that by far, its arm-like wings are its deadliest weapons. Infinitely more flexible without the rock armor to hamper its movements, it can easily sweep these claw-like wings in front or claw through the very ground beneath it to knock away any nearby hunters. And these are the emission points of its vibrations. No longer suppressed by multiple layers of stone, this, combined with its wings' newfound flexibility, allows it to fire the vibrations from its wings into powerful jets of pressurized air that make the air pressure from a brute tigrex's roar seem like a cheap fan in comparison. Pairing this with its different ways its wings can maneuver, the creature can create a deadly laser grid of hair beams. You would have to carefully navigate or risk the removal of a limb. It can also spray the air around wildly, in winding paths of destruction nigh impossible to dodge, or bring both wings together to charge a devastating beam of pressurized air that could lightly bring down a mountain on its own. And if all this wasn't enough, the creature has another dastardly little surprise. Like it had done before, the creature can turn the ground to sand. Only this time, in addition to being able to sink into the ground and appear wherever it wants on the battlefield, it turns most, if not all, of the battlefield to waist-deep pools of sand, making it far more difficult to move and maneuver around without the use of the Mire Walker's skill. However, even with that, this still isn't enough for the massive beast, as it has somehow left pockets of air in the sand that inexplicably sense when you and your allies are in the sand and make their way towards you, acting like depth charges and exploding beneath you, doing massive damage and launching you into the air, ruining your attacks. Plus, you will most likely land back in the sand and will be set upon by another air pocket. For this reason, I would recommend only fighting the monster with an insect glaive, ranged weapons, or if you can fly. You probably thought that all this was more enough, didn't you? Well, Shara didn't think so. So it has one more final move to crush whatever little bit of hope you may have had during this encounter. Once he has successfully turned the area into a massive pool of sand, it sinks into the sand, appearing at one of the edges of the arena and creating a massive sphere of compressed air, which it throws into the center of the arena with the intent of completely obliterating you and the party you might have been hunting with from existence. There is no blocking this attack, and you cannot evade it with a mere couple of rolls or even a Superman dodge. Your only hope is to channel your inner Nezuko and rely on the most ancient and sacred technique of the Joestar family. Find where the creature... Run for your life! Once again, this small amount of information is all we know. If we knew little about Dodo Gama because of how recent its discovery was, we know next to nothing about this creature, discovered less than 2 years ago now. Factor in that it's an elder dragon, already an elusive breed of creature that can't be captured for further study, and the fact we only ever found one, which I was forced to kill all on my own with absolutely no help from anyone. There's sadly nothing left to learn of this beast unless we can manage to find another one. But the question for that is, do we want to?
No. No, we do not. And that's another lore video done. I hope you all enjoyed that. A lot of effort went into it, and recording time has been a lot more scarce with my grandmother and 7-year-old nephew down to visit, and any background noise you may have heard throughout the recording was actually them and my father playing a game of Monopoly. So there's a little fun fact for you. But back to Shara Ishvalda then. It's a mixed bag with me in terms of design, concept, visuals, all that. I love it. The giant rock form is really cool, really epic, and the idea of having it, secrete basically glue in order to stick all these rocks to it as a really cool design. And its released form is even cooler. How it looks like it's made out of some kind of like wood or stone is just epic and unlike anything we've seen before in the Monster Hunter world. It really is completely unique. There is just nothing else like it. I love its weapon designs, I love its armor designs, just everything in the visuals department, beautiful. In the way it operates, it's, hulking brute force, rock form, and the way it fights with vibrations in both forms, especially in its release forms, is really cool. And in concept, the way it turns the arena into sand is an interesting idea mechanic, but in terms of actually fighting it, I just absolutely hate fighting it. I've gotten better recently, and it's largely due to just my own lack of skill, but it's just, I do not enjoy to fight. It's rock form I have no problem with. It is very manageable, but the release form and when it turns basically the entire arena into waist-deep sand, I cannot stand it. I know, like I said in the video earlier, you can kind of counter this with the Mire Walker skill, but that doesn't change the fact there's still those air pockets hunting you down and launching you into the sky. More often than not, usually into Shara Ishvalda's giant Kamehameha air beam of destruction, and I just absolutely hate it. Also, again, could be my lack of skill. I'm not fighting up close and personal enough, but I feel like it just has too much health up until recently. So yeah, I am convinced it's probably my lack of skill, but up till recently, like I said, I've been, every single time I fight this thing, no matter how aggressive I am, what weapon I'm using, it always seemed like it was down to the wire. I could never get it done with less than 2 minutes remaining. I constantly on the verge of failing the hunt every single time. I almost never leave without two feints, and like I said, 2 minutes left up until recently. Even with a team of incredible 999 master and hunter rank partners, every single time was a close call. But other than that, yeah, it really feels like sometimes you're just hopeless when fighting it, like you'll never get it done in time. And when you do finish it, you don't feel accomplished so much as, oh my god, it's finally over, and you never want to do it again. But so yeah, very awesome design, very cool idea, concept for fighting it, way of fighting in concept, but in execution, I can't stand it. But so there you go. That's the lore on Shara Ishvalda and my final thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next time I will be taking on or sharing information about our newest invader, the Brute Wyvern Banboro, so hopefully you guys are all looking forward to that. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this and want to see more, go ahead and slash that subscribe button. If you like this video, give a quick cut to the like button. Leave a comment down below. Share it around with all your friends. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And be sure to click the notification bell so you never miss it when I upload a video. Then I'll see you in the next one. But until then, my people, stay sharp.